Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Celebrate Life Today with Pastor Rhonda, and I am your host. And we're back again today talking with Dr. Farid Zarif, and he has been sharing information with us that is challenging me to change my lifestyle. Every time I go to eat something, I'm like, it's the wrong time, or I should be eating now, or something. So, uh, Dr. Farid, welcome, welcome, welcome once again.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, Pastor Rhonda. Wow, hey, we're actually closing on a four-part um, uh, let's call it
Series.
series, a four-part series, and it's been really wonderful. We really appreciate all of your emails, and we appreciate your comments out there. It's been really wonderful. So if you have friends for the next about 45 minutes, you want to get them to come and check us out right now, because we're going to summarize some of the things that we've gone over, and then we're going to add a few more tools to your gears toolkit.
Awesome, awesome. So, Dr. Farid, go ahead, get started. You know how to make this roll.
All right. Well, we're simply talking about the things that what we eat and when we should eat them. What we've talked about over the time, we've talked about a way of eating that starts off with your first hour of awakening, all the way to your 12th hour of awakening. So we take half of the day to consume food, and this food is turned into energy, and then we call it the catabolic level, or the
Catabolic level.
yes, or the catabolic phase, because what we're doing is our body is making energy. And that's why, they're called the waking hours. They're not the sleeping hours, they're the waking hours. So during this time, our body is doing something differently than we've ever been taught. We've just been taught when you're hungry, eat. And when you eat, it's something that tastes good. And that's so vague, right? We've lost so many incredible minds because we are so attached to and so inculcated by taste, sight, smell, the way it sounds, the way it feels, and the way it appears. So through our five senses, we've become emotionally involved with our food. Now, there's nothing wrong with liking your food and respecting your food, but when you get attached to it, not connected, when you become attached to it, then
attached, not connected.
Yeah, right. You can tell a person that, I'm connected with you, but I'm not attached. It's a big difference. You see? I know I started stuff, so there you go. But there it is. It's when we get attached to food, then we can't do without it. See, it's a bad place to be in anything that you feel like I can't do without it. That's called an addiction, not a relationship.
So when you're preaching today.
So, it's all the truth. I think if the Bible wasn't there, we'll find the truth in a tree stump. We'll find it in a grain of sand, because truth is what keeps this whole planet together. It's really incredible. So when we eat certain things, what happens is our eyes go to the back of our head. We have all of these different hormones shooting all through our blood. We can't wait to eat it again. Some people's mouths water by just simply looking at a commercial. They just ate. They're still chewing, and they cannot resist it. So it's really important that we know that the diabolical views and the diabolical stances that these companies take. They take these stances so that they can protect their income. They can protect their shares. They can protect their interest in these companies. Has nothing to do with your health.
Mm-hmm.
Many people really feel that, like I'm eating to be healthy. It was when I was at UCLA. I remember there was two protesting groups. One was on the side that was all, down, down, they were standing up for beef. And
Mm-hmm.
the other ones, they were like vegetarians and vegans of don't kill the animals, don't kill the animals. And about the fight in the street, it was getting very, very, chippy out there. And eventually, someone, it was a woman that had a lot of documents in her hands, and she was on the bullhorn.
Megaphone.
Yeah, and she read from the paper, and in summation, the paper said that the owners of the soy property that was represented by the vegetarians and vegans was the same owner of the person that owned the livestock. so, so they're out there where everybody's about to kill each other over something that we had no knowledge of. Nutrition is and has been very, very political. It has nothing to do with the science. That's why when you think about nutrition, you can go back as far as you can remember, and you can remember the same points that most people are making today when it comes to nutrition was made years ago, especially after 1940. 1940 was get the woman out of the kitchen, frozen dinners, women are equal to men. Women can work just like men can work. And I'm not here to even, judge on right or wrong with that. But what I'm saying is that until the woman start working like a man, she did not die as fast as a man. Today, she dies the same rate as men do, and she dies because she's doing the same thing that they do. So it's really now I'm just I know a lot of people are independent and do their own things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those laborious jobs, building skyscrapers and homes, carpentry, mechanics, those kinds of things. Something about those jobs, and I know there are anomalies, to this. There's always somebody that it works for, but I'm talking about the majority. And once women, it's very important. I just did this on my show, Protect the Black Woman. And it's very important that women understand how their body works. It's different than a man's body. She can take on things that we can't even imagine. If I would have had one child by now, I would be dead. Stuff like that. I can't even go there. That's why I have so much respect for my mother, my sister, my aunt, my grandmother, and all their girlfriends, because a woman is just so incredibly magnanimously beautiful. I mean, the creation of a woman is just untouched by words. It's incredible. And when you think about the things that you have to eat and drink in order to maintain that magnanimous woman, it does make sense, because the way that a woman operates is just with true royalty. It's just really incredible. Now, the thing that we want to focus on is a word called homeostasis. Now, homeostasis is the balancing of the internal environment. You might hear homeostasis when people talk about communities and areas and so forth. But even when they use it, then it means the same thing, the balance of that community, you see. So when we look at things such as food, let's go to food. Let's start off with a stimulus. So a stimulus would be a cupcake, for instance. or chicken. You can put anything in that blank. Anything that you can think of. Guess what is released in our body? Insulin. Insulin is released from the pancreas. And the pancreas then releases what are called, these are called hormones. It's called insulin. Insulin is released because the food that we just ate breaks down to sugar. That sugar is called glucose. Now we take that glucose and we want to connect it with the insulin is also there to take that glucose, and it is the vehicle that takes the glucose to the cell wall, and it releases that glucose into the cell. Okay. Now let's say you have like 1 trillion cells, but then a person after they eat like not so healthy, or if they eat even the healthy stuff, but they eat too much, they're going to gain a little bit. This is just typical, not all cases, but most cases. And once they eat from that 1 trillion cells, now they're at 1.5 trillion cells. See? Okay, so that means that that's 500 billion more cells that they have to deal with because of their mass increasing, right? So if you got that insulin, you only have so much insulin. And if you don't have enough insulin to address all of those additional cells, you have what is called insulin resistance. See, now it's making sense, right? So insulin resistance, when you can't bring that glucose to the cell, then that means that you're going to have too much sugar in the blood because the insulin isn't
nowhere to go.
Exactly. And there you have it. You have people that have diabetes, whether they have enough insulin, like in diabetes mellitus 1, there's no insulin there. In some rare cases, there's just a low amount of insulin. But you have diabetes mellitus 2, where what I'm describing now is suitable for diabetes 2. Diabetes 2 now can be actually contracted just simply at any age. It used to be called juvenile onset diabetes, and you don't hear that anymore because.
So can you actually develop diabetes from medications or no?
I haven't. There's not any cases that come to mind because I think if it did, it would be a medication that would address diabetes 1, because remember it's the insulin coming from the beta cells, and yeah, I can't think of any now, but I bet you there's something out there.
But I think it's so interesting when the doctor says you are pre-diabetic. Well, actually, they don't even tell you that. They send you your blood work, and your blood work says that you're pre-diabetic. And yet they don't tell you anything to do, nothing to act upon, nothing to adjust, nothing to change in your diet. We're supposed to know that, I'm sure. But who would know that carrots turns into sugar? Who would know that grapes turn into a whole lot of sugar? And who can eat just 12 grapes, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do with that kind of information?
Well, first, the thing that you do is you keep listening to Dr. Zarif like I do. And that's going to help out a whole lot right there, because I get beyond that political crap. That's just mess. Those are distractions. Another thing, I mean, even these terms, that's an allopathic term, pre-diabetic. Everybody that doesn't have diabetes is pre-diabetic, So it's like, what does that really mean? I can go if they say borderline diabetic, you're almost there, just like we say in hypertension or other different maladies. But yeah, that's just a loose term. There's a lot of generalities that are going around in Western medicine, and they are nothing but distractions. Nothing but distractions. So keep, again, remember the phrase, the closer you are to nature, the healthier you'll be. And that is the truth for now and for later, because in nature, there contains all of the minerals and all of the nutrients and so forth that we need to be as healthy as we want to be. I have
Oh,
a
that's interesting. As healthy as we want to be.
That's right. Yeah,
See,
'cause
now, most of us have not thought about being healthy. We might want to do better,
mhm,
but we don't necessarily decide that that better equals healthy.
that is correct.
And
Because
so we're still doing things mentally that is going against what we physically need to be doing.
yes, that you said it. I mean, I can't say it any better than that. That's incredible. Because see, good is a word that people hide behind.
Mm.
Good doesn't necessarily mean correct. You know, good doesn't necessarily mean healthy. You see, good doesn't mean that it's the thing to do. So when we look at like a person can say, "Oh, well, I eat good." Now I don't want. We ain't got to talk. We don't talk about no nutrition because I do good. And it's like every time I see that brother, that sister, that man, that woman that says that, I'm thinking again how the astronomical difference between good and great, or good and healthy.
Healthy.
Yeah. So, it's like when a person thinks that, like when I said that, you can be as healthy as you want to be because nothing will happen to you without your permission. Even if
Mm.
you're asking for a blessing, you got to give it permission to be received. And it's like that's the whole idea of using this. And that's why I had to pursue and procure different degrees and certifications in psychology, because that's what it's all about. It's really about what we think is what we become. And we are an expression of our thoughts. So whenever you can make a decision, make an informed decision. So you asked earlier, what do we do about that? We have to make informed decisions. Have the tools that will help you to arrive at a decision that when I make this decision, I will be better because of it, or she
But
will
you,
be better because of it, or he, and so forth.
so I was just talking with someone yesterday, and I said, I think what I need to do is put up post-it notes
Mhm.
all over the house that say something similar to, you said you wanted what? So on the refrigerator door. So
Oh,
before
I
you
see.
even open the door, you said you wanted to lose weight. You said you wanted to eat better. You said you wanted to eat healthier. So you said you wanted to do what? So
Yes,
at each point, it's like you said you wanted to drink water around the clock.
yes,
So put on the clock, every time you look at the clock, you should be able to see that sign. You said you wanted to do what? So
yes.
it's a decision you made versus somebody putting a decision on you.
That sounds like you're sitting on a great idea. You might want to go ahead and monetize that. Yeah, because I think a lot of people can really relate to what you're saying, because you're talking about that's the internal power. You said that. You said that. And it also helps you to remember that it ain't about what he said and she said and they said. It's about what you said. How do
Right.
you like you? We used to ask people, I remember when Kool Mo D and all of those cats were up, those old school rappers. He made an incredible song, How You Like Me Now. Remember that? When they should have been saying, not asking somebody else how you like me, but asking yourself, how do I like myself now? I said that I like myself. I said that I love myself. So is what in my hand reflecting that, or what I'm doing reflecting that? So eating, drinking, all of this stuff has so much to do with one absolute same exact or whatever adjective we want to use for this one thing, and that is euphoria. Remember, we keep coming back to euphoria. Food now is surrounded around euphoria. What does that mean? It goes back to good. It goes back to comfort. As long as you're comfortable, as long as you feel good, you're doing the right thing. But I argue with that because the right thing can sometimes lead you to, chronic sickness.
Mm.
Um, it can lead to pain, experiencing pain through life. It can lead to a lot of things that don't necessarily equal the good life. See? So let's talk about
So,
the,
do we want to define what good is?
yes, let's talk
Since we're
about
tossing out the word good.
good to me. And this is going to be what the way I use good. Good, first of all, a million goods does not equal one great. A million
Ooh.
goods doesn't. I don't care. I did my best. I did. You know
No,
when people
no, you
say,
didn't. No,
"I
you
did
didn't.
my best," exactly. Because
Who are
if
you
you,
trying to convince?
yeah, if you have a coach come in, you have like Coach Rhonda. She goes over here and she says to the runner, yeah, you're fast, and that's why we recruited you. But I see that your hands are going out. They're frailing. They're not aligned. I see that you're breathing through your mouth instead of your nose and down to your lungs and then out your mouth. So I think that you have too much carbon dioxide buildup. We got to work with that. All of these things, right? And that because that coach is there, no matter how great the athlete is, with a coach and a trainer, they get better. The largest room in the universe is the room for improvement. So when we think on these terms, we think of ways that we can get better, but good is not the correct adjective for that particular transition. Good is the worst enemy of great. Good is the worst enemy of success. You see? So that when you deal with goodness, many times when you're thinking about goodness, in the terms that we've learned it, it can make one so lazy and so
Mhm.
negative when it comes to yourself. He said my hairline was too far back, or she said that my braids didn't look real, or she said my beard got too much gray hair, and all of this outside existential stuff, which is connected also with what we put in our mouths, because the
Mhm.
hamburgers and sodas and shakes and fries, all of that stuff, when you think about it, we have appealed to those things because of our five senses. If you can't control your emotions, you don't even have a chance of controlling your intake of food.
Oh.
And that is where the society wants us to stay impulsive. They want us to feel good. They want us to think that we look good, and they want us to act good. But when it comes to doing something greater for ourselves, then we have a problem with it, because when to be great, you got to ask questions, you got to contest, you got to stand up, you got to speak out, you got to let go, you got to bring in what you need, you got to leave back what you don't need. It's a responsibility to be great, you know, but people run away from it because what happens if now I got to work harder? What happens? What you working harder for you? Look
Right.
at entrepreneurs. They can really tell the story the best, because an entrepreneur and a person that now, I guarantee, like if I want to be an astronaut, you know, I'm not going to build a building and run it like NASA. You need other people to be at different, monitors and different scientists and different disciplines in order to get a shuttle in outer space. I understand that. But those of us that are working, and we're not rocket scientists, then it's really important for us to understand the power, the the personal respect and the accountability that one holds on themselves when they're talking about what should I eat, and when should I eat it. That's a very well developed human, because when you have a good schedule, all we do is eat whenever it's available.
Mm.
There is no rhyme or reason for eating. There's no laws or anything there that we observe. They're there, but we don't observe them, because we in America don't even think about things that make us feel good. It's like, it feels good, get it again. I want to re-up on that, give it, I want some more. And so we have the same attitude as a person that's addicted to coke, to heroin, or any other drug.
But we also have the flip side. And the flips, and I've been talking to a lot of people since I've been having these conversations with you.
Mhm.
Um, the people that are not eating at all
Yes.
and
Yeah.
yet still gaining weight. Well, I
Mm.
shouldn't say not eating at all. They get up, they go to their computer, they're in Zoom. There is no lunchtime schedule,
Mhm.
because everybody's getting up at work and going to lunch, because, we're just sitting here trying to get all this work done or meet on yet another Zoom call. So what do we say to that population of people that, well, only eat one meal a day?
They aren't in tune with their circadian rhythm. We are people of nature, you know, by nature. you know, we are naturally people of nature. When we go outside of that nature, that's why those things don't work. Those are extremities, like I'm intermittently fasting now. I'm everything about, listen to breakfast, breaking the fast. Breakfast, that has to do with eating, right? Lunch has to do with eating, and dinner has to do with eating. That's why I changed that. When you look at my system, the rhythm diet, or also called the executive life diet, this is a system that is locked down, or it is managed by laws of time. This time, let me pull up. I'm going to pull up just so you can go over this with. Now, if you were looking at 12 a.m., from 12 a.m. to about 3 a.m., most people are asleep there in the bed, and this is where they get their deepest sleep, right? So this is, let me show you here. This is be really interesting. Whenever you sleep, there are phases of sleep. I won't go through alpha and all that stuff. I'm just going to say phase one, phase two, all that stuff. So we'll go through, we have stage one. Now, stage one is the lightest time. This is the lightest time. And it's like you go through phase one, about 1 to 7 minutes of just light sleep. Now, light sleep, I got to say alpha, but that's when you just getting in sleep. You can wake a person up really fast because they just fell asleep. They're not really in deep sleep. But once they get in stage two, you first, stage one is the lightest, and then stage two is light sleep. Now, this goes on for about 10 to 25 minutes. It takes about 10 to 25 minutes. Now, remember, these are stages that your body goes into before they get into what is really called sleep. So our bodies are going through changes, just like our body goes through changes with people that fast. It's not, I stop eating. Your body goes through fasting, then it goes through, we like when a person, when they for instance, they have an appetite, right? If you have the appetite, you get what? You're hungry. And then after you get hungry, what do? Then you don't get any food, so you're fasting, right? But then
Um,
when you don't get any food when you're fasting, you're doing what?
Starving.
Starving. That is correct. So all of those are phases, right? So you got just in those four. So when you starve, the body has to work over time, it has glucagon, stored energy in the muscle and the liver, more different other hormones are now secreted in order to protect the body. The immune system changes. The digestive system closes down for protection. All of these things start happening. So we're human. We're not robots. And many people just say, well, if I don't eat, I just won't have any food. No, when you don't eat, you change the homeostasis, the balance, the internal balance. You're lopsided. So a lot of people, they'll get in there, I'm just drinking. And these are usually moods. And the others are sometimes people use their therapeutically, but this should be people that really understands the functionality of the digestive system, the physiology. And then you have other people that just simply do it because they were told that this really works to lose weight or to have more energy or whatever else.
So what about the one who wants to drink juices or smoothies instead of eating?
Well, there's one thing, there's the thing for everything that we do, just like, it says in physics, for everything we do, there's an equal or opposite reaction, right? So whenever we drink juice instead of masticate the juice, chew the juice, chew the peel, chew the pulp, it's a different result. Now, whenever you drink the fruit, you're going to have a whole lot of sugar with that fruit. Now, you're going to drink it and it's going to be, it's like a dessert. But again, you may overload and you have a bigger chance of overloading your blood with sugar. So if you do that, it's best to, put it in a blender instead of a juicer. The other thing with vegetable juices now, on the other hand, are better because you're extrapolating all of these minerals and vitamins and stuff with a lower, very, very low amount of sugar. That's why you never like a sweet potato really isn't sweet. You don't see a person just taking a bite out of a sweet potato, or like beets. Now beets have a high amount of sugar in it, but you don't see people just with red all over their face, and it just doesn't work because they're higher in starch, so they're more complex to break down. But it is best to follow the chart where you eat detergent foods, which include, and the main food of detergent foods are fruit. Now the fruit that you eat, you can eat that every morning. Remember, up to 3 servings. What's a serving? Take a serving spoon. That's a serving. You got a heaping serving and you got a flat serving. Flat serving is not a lot. It's just right to technically a serving. And then you have one that may have a little heel bit on it. That's the one, that's the heaping serving spoon. So that's what is very important to know, that just like we have the stages of sleep, we have the lightest, we have light, then we have the deep sleep, which goes on 20 to 40 minutes, and then you have the REM sleep, and that's the rapid eye motion, and that goes on from 20 to 40 minutes. Now, during your deep sleep is nothing like the light sleep. Light sleep is just you're now, it's on your way. It's on your way to sleeping deeper. But when you get into deep sleep, this is so important because this is when you get all the energy. You see how a baby reacts once they take a nap? Oh man, or once they get up after a good night's rest, they're up and they're looking for something. They want
Ready to go.
Yes, exactly. And when they get irritable, one of the things you hear a mother say is, she's just ready for a nap. She didn't take a nap today or whatever. So, deep sleep and REM sleep is when the body actually rejuvenates. This is when it repairs. This is when it resets. This is when it also synthesizes more muscle tissue. This is when it repairs itself. You see? All of these things happen during deep sleep and REM sleep. Your
Mhm.
body cannot do it other than that. So the power of sleep is super important. Now, that also takes us back to the circadian rhythm. There is a part of, we're talking about lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, our eating or these particular phases should not be named after something, food. It's purposely put there so that we'll be thinking, oh, this time, lunchtime for me. You hear people say that this is dinner time. Oh no, man, I can't do it. It's breakfast. I got to finish my break. All of it is wrapped around that, but they have no idea of the phases that they're going through. So I'm going to go through these little short. These are just some basic phases. Now, let me. I actually wanted to enlarge this, but anyway, I know about heart, so it's not active. Oh yes, I can do it like this. Okay, so if you start off at 12 a.m. And this isn't reflective of teenagers because teenagers are slightly different, but adults you start off at about 12, let's call it 12 a.m. Everybody should be in bed by then that's gotten up early that day. Do they? I don't think so, but it's a good idea. So let's say you about 12 a.m. to about 3 p.m., you're in deep sleep. That's what we just talked about. This is when your body is repairing. Very important. And then about 4:30 until 6, this is when you have the lowest body temperature. Your body's temperature drops down. All of this has to do with the processes of healing, repair, getting. Sometimes, have you ever worked, Pastor Rhonda, where you almost just work your socks off? And it's a song, as a matter of fact. Anita Baker sang it a long time ago, but some other people have sang it too. It's called "In the Morning." It's a gospel song. It's called "In the Morning," and what it's saying is everything is going to be all right
In the
once the
morning.
morning on in the morning, right? Yeah. So and the reason for that is because deep sleep. Deep sleep in the morning is a big thing. It's not just a great song. It's really a thing where you go to sleep. One of the best rejuvenators is rest. One of the best ways to rest is after sex. I'm not saying this to be, a naughty boy. I'm just saying one of the functions that we also have is to procreate. And those of you that are in that type of relationship and have that type of understanding, married or otherwise, it's really important that you know that sex is not just the fundamental thing to do. You man and woman get together, or you partners get together, whatever. But it is important to know that it is the number one therapeutic use for healing the body, and that is to put it at just rest it. See, most of us are so, we got it. We can't stop. We can't stop because we just like we're thrill seekers. What's going on? What? Hold on for a minute. Okay. We got to do something. But if you're a busy person and you have many people that rely upon your leadership, leaders, be sure that you allow yourself to rest, because if you don't rest, you will break down. If it's not on the outside where everybody can see it, you will break down on the inside. And that's called myocardial infarctions. You'll have some kind of heart problem, becomes some kind of neurological, meaning nerves, that kind of problem, some respiratory, something, because the body cannot move forward without acknowledging and complying with rest. You have to
And there's
rest.
a difference between rest and sleep.
Yes, there is. So you can rest. A rest can be like nap. A rest just simply means pause.
So, like the old folk used to say, go sit down and rest yourself.
Yes.
So,
So that
do you have to go to sleep in order to rest?
No, that's why it means pause. So if you say rest, it means go down there. My grandmother used to tell us, go sit yourself down there. Yeah, you think about that or whatever. And that's what it was for. And the schools used to do that too. And they'll have people, this is far before my time, but they used to have a part where they would put a dunce hat on some of the children and they would make fun of them in school, and that was loud. There was schools also that would kick your behind if you got out of if you weren't doing what they asked you to do, and that with a big paddle. They would have a huge paddle, and a lot of that was adopted by Africans to make corrections with whippings and stuff. But I digress. The the things I love this subject. The things that we need to do is to make sure that these three things: one, have healthy food, and most of that food, let it be raw and fresh as possible. There are things that you're going to have to cook, but let them not be the major part of your meals. Eat things with live enzymes. For the best way to get life is from life. You can't get it from something that has been zapped or has been overcooked. You see? So that's nutrition. The other thing is that physical activity. Even if you can sit on the side of your bed and move your legs up and down, or even if you just put your hands up and now see, this is like, oh, you can't get in shape like that. I didn't say get in shape. I said move. Because if you do nothing, if you do nothing, it's like when you ask your clients, like, so now you think you're in good shape? And, he's like, yeah, I mean, if you count round as a shape, because most people, they they don't they don't really look at you see how much mind stuff, right? It's really incredible, the stuff that we learn. And like, remember, you and I did this show together where we were saying, what's vitamin A, what's vitamin C, what's what, and we're still there. And I guarantee you, if you don't get work under the auspices of someone that really understands the science of nutrition, then we'll go another generation of people that will just have enough to say, yeah, well, intermittent, everybody should know what they're doing and how it affects them in a positive way. But let's finish up on the circadian rhythms here. After your lowest body temperature, you're up about 6. Most of us are. Sometimes we get up later. But what happens, like, just before you get up, you go through, this is where you have the sharpest increase of your blood pressure, just before you get up. A lot of times, so it's not good. It's like if you get out of bed and you take your blood pressure, you're not going to get an accurate read, because first of all, everything changes when you go from horizontal to vertical. You should automatically, natural things, you have flatulence or any type of methane buildup or sulfur buildup, you'll pass that gas. We crack up, children. It sounds like a horn. It is funny when we're children, but it is a part of us naturally. It's a balance. Then the next thing we want to do is that we want to make sure that we evacuate all of the waste. We don't want to carry all of the weight. We don't want to carry waste any longer than we have to. So it is time to evacuate that. So the very thing that you do, one of the very most important things you do in the morning is to defecate. So you have drops like you defecate, respirate, urinate, perspirate, salivate, expectorate also. But these are things that you do that keeps the body balanced and healthy. And we have the right to optimality. Optimality is to feel as good as you possibly can and to be as good as you possibly can. That's optimality. So many people haven't even, it's probably been so long ago, like during childhood, that they can't even remember. Feeling great means that you can move through the day without pain and without feeling like, oh God, because there's one part here that the blood pressure changes again later on, but your coordination happens about 2:30 p.m. Fastest reaction time is around 3:30 to 4 o'clock, or 3:30 to 5. Then at 5 o'clock, your cardiovascular efficiency and muscular strength improves. This is the best time to exercise for people to get up around 6 o'clock.
Five
Although
in the evening?
5 in the evening is where you're at the peak of your physicality. See,
Mm.
but the way that, remember, a lot of the stuff that's set up in our society is set up by people that are setting up businesses and are people with deep pockets that can do that. For instance, who made breakfast, lunch, and dinner? The farmers did. The people with the chickens and the eggs, the people that could make the butter, the people that could kill the cow and the chicken and all that stuff. And they're like, all right, shoot, this is a business here. The breakfast and especially lunch is definitely an employee's holiday because that's when they get a chance to rest. That's everybody. I don't care if you just got to work, 12 o'clock, 11:30 is lunchtime. For no matter what time you got up, you might have just got there, but that's their lunchtime. And when you eat lunch at any other time, it feels awkward and it feels like that's the wrong time. And usually people, I'm just going to take a snack right here because we just haven't learned it that way. Then you have the highest body temperature is around 7 o'clock, a little bit before you go to bed. And then melatonin sets in and it's time to go to sleep and it starts all over again. So I know that's brief and basic, but these are some of the phases that we go through in order for us to be the beautiful humans that we are. Getting out of the bed, making sure that we eat a certain thing, and making sure that we drink a certain thing, making sure that we have physical activity, and that will help us to be beyond good and help us on our way to be great.
Great. Awesome, awesome. Dr. Farid, this has been a marvelous time sharing with you. I got more out of today. It seemed like it was the very first day.
Great, great.
So, but I would encourage you by saying that these conversations have truly encouraged me to think of my life and the way that I'm eating and and bringing the awareness. Every new change begins with awareness. And so you have definitely stirred that up for me. I'm having conversations with other people that are where I find myself repeating some of the things that you have said.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
And I was like, oh, that's why Dr. Farid said that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we have this recorded so that we can go back and take a look at it. I want to thank everyone who has joined us through all four series, 4 sessions. And I look forward to seeing you again and again. So is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, I would like to say thank you very much, first of all. And I would like to say that, acknowledge the gift that we have in our bodies, and acknowledge the gifts that we have in people to help us to shape up. That means to take form in a wonderful way. And just be, not only thankful, but be proactive. Take some moves to make yourself better because it's really up to you and you can do it. Be open to change because that's what it's going to take to get better.
Awesome. So, as we always say, until next time, choose life.